All right, hi to those who are out there. Thank you for coming along. Because we've had that little bit of confusion and the little bit of a delay with what's going on with our internet today, we're just going to give it 5 minutes and try to get some people that are on the old link over. So sit tight. All right, hi. We'll be heading up in 5 minutes. Thank you for coming. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our reading style performance of The Guys by Anne Nelson to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 Trade Center and Pentagon attacks in the US. We had this really excellent show prepared and it was ready to go up in Melbourne, but due to the COVID restrictions in Melbourne, all the theatres are closed. So our hearts go out to everybody who's been affected by this across the board, but especially to the beautiful theatre and performing arts community that just want to tell magical stories and try to help people. So a little bit about the play. It's based on Anne Nelson, the author, her real experience. And she helped a fire captain that she helped the fire captain to write the eulogies for his 8 guys that were killed. So it takes place over a morning in Brooklyn in an apartment. And so, oh, hang on, we're having more tech issues. I don't know what that is about. Hold on. Okay, so just bear with us for a couple of minutes. I'm really sorry. Technology. Wow. Okay. So we're back, and excuse the language, but this entire process has been a fucking nightmare. To be honest, between COVID and tech and everything. So, oh well. So the play takes place over an afternoon in Brooklyn with Joan and Nick, and it's a lovely play. So we still wanted to bring it to life to commemorate the anniversary. Now, as a producer and director, I'd also like to take this time for a special thanks to my mum and dad, my sister, David Meadows, who's been doing a bang-up job with the tech stuff and helping through all the issues that we've been having, and it's been awesome. Samantha for coming on board, the team at 45 downstairs, Ros Hammond for continuing to support it, even though she had to go to an awesome opportunity. Doris Brinkhouse, Dawn Paulson, Jamie Henson, who is our lighting and SM, and Anne Nelson, of course, for the play and being really supportive of this whole thing. Thank you so much for your time and support. We're still hoping to bring this to life later down the track, live on stage, the way it should be seen. So if there's anyone out there that's interested or wants to get in or help us out on that, get in touch with me directly. I've also done a live stream pre-record for Broadway On Demand with a panel discussion about this play with Anne Nelson in it, it's actually really cool. There's some clips from the plays all over the world. And you'll be able to see that for an amount of time on Broadway On Demand. And also you'll be able to read the play, which I suggest you do for nothing for a little while. If not, you can always pick it up. It's a copy Anne gave me. You can pick it up on the internet, just look it up. It's a wonderful piece, which you're just about to find out. So welcome to the Saturday Night Live stream. Get your snacks, get your beverages, your hoodies, your hoodies, your onesies, and sit back, relax. And without further ado, we're proud to present The Guys by Anne Nelson.
When I am called to duty, God, whenever flames may rage, please give me strength to save a life, whatever be its age. Help me embrace a little child before it is too late, or save an older person from the horror of that fate. Enable me to be alert, to hear the weakest shout, and quickly and efficiently put the fire out. I want to fill my calling and to give the best in me, to guard my every neighbor, to protect their property. And if according to my fate I am to lose my life, please bless with your protecting hand my children and my wife.
New York, my beautiful, gleaming, wounded city. When I was a little girl in Oklahoma, I'd wait every week for Newsweek and Life magazine to plop into the mailbox. What were they doing this week in New York City? Going to plays written by Europeans, listening to jazz and string quartets, all the things you weren't supposed to do in Oklahoma. I thought you probably needed a passport to get into New York. I had this picture in my mind of people lined up at the bridge paying a fee for admission. I was right. I hit New York when I was 17. I never really went back. Stone by stone, I built my life, a pre-war apartment on the Upper West Side, rent stabilized, filled with music and books, a husband who liked opera more than football, 2 charming children and a good private school, an interesting job. Oh yes, my career. I started out as a young woman traveling to Latin America and writing about the dirty wars. I was a brave, foolish, 25-year-old girl. Yes, girl, though I would have fought that word at the time. I saw bodies, talked to refugees, dodged bombs. The only time I was really afraid was on the nights before I got on the plane to go back down. I'd cut my deal with God. If I got killed this time, someone would have to feed my cat. That was before I had human dependence. After a few years, I burned out. I settled down. I made my mother happy. And when I got to my normal life, my apartment, my family, it was like a gift. Every time I took a hot shower, I was grateful. Gradually, I stopped reporting. I found work as an editor. I became theoretical. Where were you September 11th? Question of the year. I was at home getting ready to go vote for Mark Green. How many times did I vote for Mark Green? It was like Catholics and the weekly obligation. The phone rings and it's my father in Oklahoma. Is your TV on? No, I want to say only people in Oklahoma have their TVs on at 9 o'clock in the morning. No, I say why? A plane crashed into the World Trade Center. Must have been one of those little planes. Pilot had a heart attack. Dad, I said, maybe it's terrorism. He thought about it. Why would someone do that? So I turned the television on and joined the Witnesses of the World. I called my husband who works on 31st Street so we could tell his office mates so they could all go watch it out the window. Note this, my dad calls from Oklahoma so I can call my husband so he can watch it out the window. That moment marked the end of the postmodern era. So we all in our assigned places watched the second plane hit. We watched the towers go down. And then because I don't know what else to do, I go to the polling place and I vote for Mark Green. A week after the attack, I visit my sister in Park Slope. Now she lives in Park Slope because she's 10 years younger than me. Over the 10 years between us, the Upper West Side got priced out of the market. They've just had another kid, 3 months old, and I needed to hold that baby. Oh, it was primal. That week, you could have scored big in the rent-a-baby trade. The phone rang. My sister answered. It was her friend, the masseuse. Park Slope, you have friends who are masseuses. You meet them at the bookstore coffee shop during poetry readings. This friend was giving emergency massages to rescue workers. Look, she said, I've been working on this guy, bad shape. He's a fire captain and he just lost most of his men. He's got to give the eulogies. First one is on Thursday. He can't write them. He needs a writer. Well, I said, when was the last time I heard somebody say they needed a writer? In fact, that was just when we were all discovering our crisis of marginality. Everyone wanted to help, but we couldn't. They didn't want amateurs wandering around the site. They didn't want our blood. Even surgeons felt useless. A friend of mine went to volunteer. Plumbers and carpenters first, they said. Intellectuals to the back of the line. The firefighter needs a writer. I called him. He lived down the block. Come now, I said, I have a few hours. My sister took the baby out for the day. I knew exactly what to expect. Fire captain, big guy, works out.
Joan?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm really sorry about what happened.
Oh, yeah. Look, I feel really bad about this. You know, it's a beautiful afternoon. It's the weekend. You should be with your kids. You don't need to be doing this.
My kids have play dates. I'm useless. It's fine. Do you want some coffee?
Yeah, sure. If you got some going.
Milk, sugar?
Just black. See, I just don't know what to do. I mean, these guys, the call came in, they went off. They haven't found them yet. Some of the families, they want to go ahead and have the service now so they can try to move on. And I got to get up and talk in church. And I've been sitting down in front of a piece of paper all day. I haven't been able to write one sentence. Not a thing. I keep going into a clutch. I mean, I'm no writer under normal circumstances, but now, what can I tell the families? What am I going to say?
It's okay. I mean, maybe I can help. I've never written a eulogy before, but I've written some speeches. It's okay. Now, how many did you say there were?
8.
8.
8 men. I lost 8 men.
So 8 eulogies. Well, we'll just try to step at a time, do what we can. You say the first service is scheduled next week.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
So we'll do that one first.
You see, the department has almost 350 men unaccounted for. It's been 12 days and they haven't found any bodies. Some of the families, they're still waiting. They say, they're going to find them alive in some air pocket or something. But the other families, they say, no, they're gone. And they want to go ahead and have the service, but they don't have any bodies.
Right.
So some of the families, they're going to take a picture and they're going to put it up where the coffin is supposed to go. And we'll just do the eulogy up there with the photograph.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, we're talking about 350 men. You got to understand that on a bad year, we might lose maybe 6. And this was in one day. It was in 1 hour. So that means 350 services. But if they keep digging and they find some bodies in some of the families, they might want to have funerals to bury them too. If every guy had a funeral and a service, that'd be 700. We'd be doing this for a year. I hope they don't all want funerals too.
So which of the services are scheduled so far?
I got the list here. It's Bill Doherty, he's first. That's Thursday. Then there's Jimmy Hughes. He's next week. After that, there's Patrick O'Neill. This is a really hard one. He was my best friend. Yeah, what a fine man. His wife wants to do his on his birthday. And then the next day is Barney Keppel. Barney. Everybody loved Barney. Guys are going to take that one hard.
So that makes 4 we need to do today. So we'll just try to step at a time. Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday's Bill Doherty.
Catholic service. And did you talk to the priest? Do you know how long the eulogy is supposed to be?
Not too long, 4, 5 minutes max. I mean, there's going to be other people there talking too, but families will expect me to say something. I'm the captain. What am I going to say? How can I explain it?
It's okay. I mean, human beings have been giving eulogies for thousands of years. You're doing this for the families. It's for them. It'll comfort them. It won't be about what happened that day. We'll talk about who they were. Make it about them. That's what you can give the families.
I keep hearing all these speeches from the politicians on the TV and the pictures in the papers. And, hero this and hero that. And I don't even recognize them.
So that's why it's good you're doing this. You're giving their families and friends something they can recognize. You can do that. So, hey, tell me about Bill.
Bill. I mean, he's Bill. I mean, that's just the problem. There's not much to say. All this hero stuff like there's some guys in a movie, but Bill, he wasn't like that. He was just an ordinary guy. He was a schmo. If Bill walked into a room, nobody would even notice. You can't write that in a eulogy.
It's okay. Don't worry. We'll do this. I mean, people who are ordinary in an extraordinary situation. That's what this is about. Now, back up a little bit. Tell me about him. What did he look like? When you think of him, what comes to your mind?
Looked like? He looked like a plumber. You know, not a big guy, he had reddish hair, mid-40s, but he was a senior man. You know, all the junior men, they relied on him. They all had their eyes on him to know what to do. My men, he called them. My men.
And when you close your eyes, where do you see him? What's he doing?
He's in the kitchen.
The kitchen?
Yeah, the kitchen. You see, these guys spend a lot of time in the kitchen between runs. There's a lot of downtime. You know, Bill, he's in there and he's saying, you know, I'm looking out for my men. My men need this. My men need that. Yeah, Bill spent a lot of time talking in the kitchen. He was real good with the younger guys, you know, the probies. He was always taking them and pointing things out to them.
Yeah.
See, someone like Bill, he's real senior. He's been there 16 years. And there's always new guys coming through. You know, sometimes it can be a pain in the ass for the older guys. And a guy like Bill, he could have blown them off. You know, they're a little nervous. They don't know what things are. But he didn't blow them off. He was always taking them and pointing things out to them. You know, here's the gear, here's the tools, here's how you use it. No, not like this, like that, you know.
Was he a family man, religious?
Bill was quiet. You know, he never talked about himself. I mean, half the company, we didn't even know he was married. I mean, I know he went to mass, but he never made a big show of it. He was proud of being Irish. You know, I think that's why he was a fireman. It's thick in the Irish blood. He loved New York. Loved New York, all its nooks and crannies. You see, these guys, they see the city from the inside and the outside, underground and all its hidden places. And a guy like Bill, he wanted to know the history of everything. And he says to me one time, "Hey, Nick, I just bought this great new book. It's a walking tour of Flatbush Avenue."
Flatbush Avenue.
Yeah. I mean, you want to have a guy like that around, especially downtown with all its crazy streets. See, nowadays, you got a computerized map when you get a call, but someone can always call in. They give you bad directions, a building name with no number, no entry on that side of the street.
Never thought of that.
On that day, I still don't know what happened. I can't find anyone that saw the company. They got off the apparatus and the officer told the driver, "We're going to Tower 1. You know, and they're running down West Street in full gear about the time the second plane hit. Maybe they peeled off and they went there, but you just don't know where to look for them."
What else did Bill love? Any sports, music? You said he hung out in the kitchen. Did he like to cook?
Bill wasn't exactly a cook. See, the guys take turns in making meals for everybody. And I call their cooking valiant attempts and dismal failures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and every guy has a specialty. And they usually cook it every time it's their turn. And I mean, we're talking undercooked chicken and nasty rice-a-roni. Bill, he would sit there and try it, and he would come up with some real zingers.
So he was more of a critic.
Yeah. Bill was the firehouse food critic. Man, he could zap them, but good, but not mean. Bill was never mean.
Okay. Now this is good. This works. Because you know, Nick, you got to give some people someone they recognize, not just a plaster saint. This is good. Now, just a minute.
You know, I'm really sorry. I'm not really giving you anything good to work with here. I mean,
No, it's okay.
I shouldn't be doing this to you.
Here, try this. Now, start here, and it jumps to there. And if you could just read it out loud so I can hear it.
I'm Nick Flanagan, captain of Ladder Company 60. I've worked with Bill Doherty for a long time. I want to give my condolences to all of Bill's family here with us today. Okay. We've been hearing a lot about heroes, and Bill was one of them. He gave his life for others, and that is a noble thing. But Bill was a quiet hero, never one to show off, never blustered. He was a firefighter for 16 years, and he was a good one. He had the most important quality for a firefighter. He was absolutely dependable. Absolutely dependable. Yeah, that's right. Dependable. Over time, we realized how important he was for the newer guys at the firehouse. Sometimes it can be hard for the experienced men to show the young ones the drills year after year. But Bill was always looking out for the new guys, showing them the ropes. And he did it in that quiet way of his. Never made him feel small. My men, he called them. My men. Well, yeah, you got it. You got it. That's him. I mean,
Well, they're your words. I just put them in order.
no. You got the craft. You know how to put it. He was like an older brother to them, looking out for them. They appreciated it, and I appreciated it. You gotta have guys like Bill around to build a strong team. They may not say much, but they hold things together. If Bill hadn't been a fireman, he could have been a food. He could have been a food critic. Bill used to spend a lot of time in the kitchen talking to the guys and evaluating the cuisine. When Bill tried out a questionable dish, he could come up with some real zingers. The restaurants of New York are lucky he went into another line of work. Guys are like that. What did Bill love? He loved his family and he loved this city. On September 11th, he was the senior man the younger men could look to, someone steady, unprofessional to show the way. We know that Bill and the other firefighters of New York saved thousands of lives that day. That means there are thousands of people and their family members who are able to go on because of them. We can only thank them and ask for God's kindest blessings on those that they leave behind.
So it works?
Yeah, you got it. I mean, I can do this. I have it in front of me when I get up there. It's like something to give them. Are you okay?
Are you okay? That was what we all kept asking each other the rest of September. What was the answer? The pebble is dropped in the water. The point of entry is you yourself. Were you present at ground zero and wounded, suffocated, or covered in white ash? No? I guess you're okay. The first ring around the pebble. Is your family okay? Did you lose someone in the towers or on the plains? The next ripple. Friends. Are your people okay? Next. If someone died in the towers that you had dinner with once and thought was a really nice person, are you okay? Next. If you look at a flyer in the subway of a missing person and you lose it, are you okay? If all the flyers are gone one day, they're gone. Are you okay? Is anyone okay? That first week, I bought a coffee at Starbucks on my way to work, and the guy behind the counter handed me my cup and said, Here's your change. God bless America. And I took a breath and I said, are your people okay? And he said, only 2 missing. Only 2. And I said, I hope you can find some comfort. Only people from Oklahoma talk to servers in coffee shops. But at least there you can say, God bless. Here, you don't know if they have a God, or if you have a God, or if anyone has a God, it's the same God that wants the same things. We all travel in our track, neighborhood, jobs, friends, parents of your children's friends. No matter how big a city gets, the only way to live in it is to live in your own village. You get to a certain age and the next person you meet has a logical connection to the ones that came before, friend of a friend. Nick and I weren't supposed to meet. You couldn't create another sequence for his life that leads to me or for my life that leads to him. After September 11th, all over the city, people were jumping tracks.
Jimmy? What can I say about Jimmy? He was a new guy. Still on probation. I already knew the guy. I never even got a chance to meet his family yet. His girlfriend came by the firehouse last week. Said he was a bicycle racer in the bike club out in Flushing at a memorial for him and put flowers on the handlebars and everything, but that's all I really know about him.
How long was he there?
He was only with the ladder company a couple of weeks. See, he'd been with the engine for 6 weeks before that. See, that's what they do with the probies. 6 weeks engine, 6 weeks ladder. When they flip into the ladder, they come into my office on the first day. I shake their hand. We might not see each other for that much for a while after that.
Ladder?
Yeah, the ladder company. So see, there's 2 companies that work side by side.
Right.
Now the mission of the engine is to put the water on the fire. They got the hoses and they work like a team to get it where it has to go. The ladder, we handle ventilation, entry, and search.
So your engine has the big ladder thing?
No.
Oh.
You call the engine an engine and the ladder a truck.
Right.
Yeah, sure. You know what? We got the big ladder thing. Why not? We got all kinds of other stuff. We got all kinds of ladders. We got a suitcase ladder, and it folds up and you carry it like a suitcase. It's beautiful.
Mm.
We got axes. We got electronic sensors. Now we got the forcible entry team, so we break down the doors so the guys with the hoses can get in. Engine and ladder, we work out of the same firehouse. Sometimes we hang out. We don't all know each other's guys the same way.
I see. So Jimmy just got there. What was it like for him?
You had to learn fast. He was willing to learn. He was always, show me more, show me more. I think he had a lot of friends who were firemen.
How old was he?
I got that here. He was, let me see. Yeah, he was 26.
Hmm. What sort of things did he like? What did he look like?
I don't know. I don't know. He wasn't there that long, and with everything that's happened, this is terrible. I mean, this is a terrible thing, but I got to tell you right now, I can't even remember his face.
Hey, we'll do this. We'll figure it out. Now, you say they come into your office on the first day.
Yeah, they all do.
Mm-hmm.
They come in, I shake their hand. I say, welcome to the company. This is the best job in the world. 2 weeks before this happened, I shook his hand, but I didn't tell him he'd be dead.
You didn't know. So how was he doing at the job?
I'm not really sure.
I mean, if he was
Still learning.
screwing up, you would have heard about it though, right?
I always hear about it if they screw up. But I didn't hear anything like that.
So he wasn't screwing up, so he was doing fine. And he went through probation, and they all go through probation, so we can put that in there too, right?
Yeah.
So how does it work?
Well, first, you got to take the test. Then there's this brutalizing physical. And then there's paperwork. Lots of paperwork. Piles and piles of paperwork. And then you go home and you wait.
Mhm.
It's a long wait. They think it's never going to end. And most of the guys get rejected, but if you're lucky, you get that call. This is fireman so-and-so. Come on down, you're in.
Yeah. And then what?
Well, then you start. And you sit down, you keep your eyes open, and you shut up.
Right. And what are those senior guys like with the new ones?
You know, they show them around. Some are more patient than others.
Mm.
They give them a bit of a hard time. You know, it's not exactly hazing. It just all goes with the territory, you know? Jimmy was doing fine. He was a regular guy, low key, he was well liked. He came in at the same time as another probie, Hippolito Diaz. Hippolito Diaz. God, I love that name. You gotta love that name. Hippolito. Where did they get these names? He sounds like he should be in a ballpark. You know, now batting for Mariano Rivera, Hippolito Diaz. Hippo's missing too. He's missing with the guys from the engine.
So they started in the summer, right? Was it a long, hot summer? What was it like in the firehouse in the weeks leading up to it?
It was nothing special. Some little stuff like wastebasket fires, false alarms. The guys were a little restless. This was a day. I mean, they were chomping at the bit. This was the day they were waiting for.
So Jimmy hadn't really been in many fires before.
No, this was it. September 11th. September 11th was his first real fire.
Of course, people have their own description. Myself, I favor the idea that it's like a massive boot stomping right here. It knocks the wind out. Heartbreak just sounds too delicate, too pretty for this sensation. It's a body blow. And you just can't breathe. Not really. Not for a long time. Brain Chemistry for Dummies. Lesson 1. The Science of Pain. Cortisol is released in a response to stress. Cortisol is sometimes called a stress hormone. A variety of psychological stresses can cause cell death in the nerves affected by the cortisol system. Cell death, don't like that. Trauma is translated into anatomical changes in the brain. Stress can cause changes in the neural architecture, the hardwiring of the brain. Diminished blood flow to the brain causes comparable brain cell death, and so does normal aging. That explains a lot. Put simply, we've got nerve fibers running through our brains like lines strung across telephone poles. Our brain sends out chemical messages that leap from pole to pole. When we experience devastation, trauma, toxins spill out, and God, can you imagine what it looks like in there? When monkeys are subjected to severe forms of stress, they show signs like passivity, cries of distress, and self-directed behaviors like huddling or rocking. The animal model seems to say that pain has its price. The victim carries his scars. Here, try this.
I'm Nick Flanagan of Ladder Company 60. Honor the memory, condolences. Okay, here. Jimmy's job was to learn as much as possible, as fast as possible. We could tell he was going to be good. He was quiet, helpful, and hardworking. The guys liked him, and they're good judges of character. Yeah, this is working. On that morning in September, Jimmy was going out in his first big fire. He was serving with the cream of the crop, and he was holding his own. They were ready for this day. It was the work they had chosen, work that was about risking everything, risking your life in order to save others. In our grief, let us remember that. When Jimmy first came to the firehouse, came into my office, and I shook his hand, telling him what I tell all the new men. This is the best job in the world. Now I would say it's the most important. It's the most important job in the world.
I'm sorry, maybe that last part's not right.
The best job in the world? Can I say that in front of his folks? But it's true. I've been doing this for more than 20 years and I can't imagine doing anything else.
I believe you.
And these guys, you would not imagine these guys.
More coffee?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Here you go, it's a little cold.
Oh, you should try the coffee at the firehouse sometime. It's really bad.
Oh, I drink a lot of bad coffee.
No. I mean, it's really bad. It's disgusting.
I don't usually drink this late in the day anyway.
Oh yeah, it is getting late. Yeah, I should be getting out of here. I mean, it's your weekend. You got plenty of other things you need to do.
Nick, when we were talking on the phone, I thought about what I was going to be doing this afternoon. Nothing more important than this. But next week, once I'm in the office with the kids and everything, it might be hard to get back. Let's see what we can do today.
Patrick. We got to do Patrick. See, the thing is, I think I'm in what do you call it? Denial about Patrick. As I swear, I'm sitting in my office and the door opens. I still think he's going to walk through that door.
Patrick O'Neill.
Yeah, Patrick. And this man had a full life. This man always had something going on, his work, his family, his church. You know, I say to him one time, hey, what are you doing on the weekend? He says, I'm going to a church picnic. I got to tell you, I didn't even know that they still had church picnics.
Kids?
4. Christy, I think she's 25. She just got married. Twins are 14. Teresa's 10. His wife is Mary Rose. He's got a birthday coming up. He's going to be 47 next month.
How long was he with the company?
Patrick came to the company as a brand new lieutenant 4 years ago. I got to see this man grow. You know, at first, you're a little shaky about everything, but over time, I got to see him grow. I mean, he had conviction. That was the thing about Patrick. I mean, he knew this was a job for him, and he was sure he could do it. And that's what makes a leader. And the troops eat it up.
So the men looked up to him.
Oh, yeah. So they wanted to follow. Now, that's the difference between being a boss and being a leader. Patrick was 6 weeks away from taking the captain's test. There's no doubt about it. He had it. He had it.
Are the men ever afraid?
Afraid. People are afraid. They never admit it.
Yeah. You can't admit it. Everything would fall apart. You can't afford that.
So they need someone to follow. good decisions, calm on the fire. I don't like the cowboy hotshot type. I never did. But Patrick, he wasn't like that. So when I think of him, I think of it when I was in the Army infantry and we had this motto, follow me. And that's what he was like, confident, like, follow me. And they did. That morning too.
What picture do you have of him? When you think about him, what do you see him doing?
I see him walking. I see him walking with these giant strides. You're not going to stop this train. He could cover a room in 2 steps. I see him leading 5 guys up to a building and walking around it and sizing it up. That's what you do when he first gets to a fire. You walk around it, you size it up. And these 5 guys are behind him and they're running to keep up. And the whole time, they're listening to him and they're thinking, what does he want? How do I do this job right?
How does he motivate them? Criticism or praise?
There's a lot of praise back in the kitchen. No, he kept an eye on him too. He was really good with the newer guys, the probies. He's this one's good, he'd say, if he liked them. Yeah, but don't you try to pull nothing over on him, because if you got yourself a square rooter, he picked up on that right away. I mean, he knew.
The square rooter?
Yes, square rooter. It's what we call him. It's a guy who's just out from south, an operator.
So Patrick was a real straight arrow.
Oh yeah. Work, church, and home. That was the motto. He was a real role model for the men. And last year when Barney Keppel had his little brush with the law, Pat helped him out. And afterwards, Barney comes to him and he says, "Okay, Lieutenant, from now on, I'm a brand new man. Just work, church, and home, just like you."
He must have liked that.
Yeah, he didn't believe it, though. I mean, Barney was work, church, and home till Friday, maybe Thursday. Yeah, it's okay. Barney didn't mean any harm. He just got in his scrapes. Him and Dave. Barney and Dave.
So Patrick talked a lot about his kids.
Oh, yeah. There was always, I got Frankie's soccer practice this weekend. Going to meet Christy's in-laws on Sunday. Tonight's Teresa's recital. He says to me one time, "Hey, Nick, I made a Waldorf salad for the church picnic. You got to try it sometime." And then off he goes to a church picnic. I got to tell you, I didn't even know they still had church picnics anymore.
No, I can't say I've been to any lately.
Yeah. No one's having any fun anymore.
We're all walking under a cloud. But there was something last night. A tango wedding party.
Oh, yeah?
No, really. I went to a tango wedding party, only in New York. He's Japanese. She's a blonde from California, and they met at their tango club in Central Park. The party was in this restaurant on 38th Street, and the whole place was done up all white and silver with candlelight. And they had a little tango trio, real Argentines, and they played. And after dinner, people danced. 10 couples, the bride and groom. They were all really good.
Yeah, tango's a very difficult dance.
And the women were all dressed up with their hair up, and they wore these little high-heeled shoes with pointy toes. I mean, you don't see that anymore. And when they got going on the dance floor, their feet just flashed. Oh, it was so beautiful. It was like the dream intermission in the middle of all this. And there was drama too. On the 11th, the groom was flying back from the West Coast and the bride was working downtown. And for hours and hours, each one thought the other one was dead. But they weren't. And they had this incredible evening. Oh, it was beautiful. They were beautiful. They made us all beautiful for a few hours.
I dance,
You?
Yeah,
Dance?
yeah,
Really?
it's my big thing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, taking lessons for years. I don't do the competitions or nothing like that. I just, I like learning new stuff and perfecting my steps. And the people are great.
What kind of dancing?
Lots of kinds: swing, ballroom, but tango really is the top dance. It's really at the top. I mean, you could study tango a long time. Do you like to dance?
Oh, I like to, but my husband doesn't, so I don't get the chance. But watching them made me want to. Their teachers are there. They were really good. I've never seen dancing like that before.
Oh, yeah. Usually you don't get to dance with your teacher socially, but this one time at this party, my teacher comes to me and she says, "Yeah, come on, sure, why not? Let's do it." God, what an experience! I mean, you looked at her and it was all there, frame. And she was perfect. Now you can't make a mistake when you're dancing with perfection.
The frame.
The frame, the frame. It's the invisible box you're standing in and how you hold yourself inside it.
Oh,
Okay, so look, if you take your partner's hand and give me your hand for a second. So you take your partner's hand and you push it, and it's all like cooked spaghetti. That's no good. You gotta have some. Give me your hand again. So you gotta feel some resistance. You gotta feel the whole body move in the same direction, like that. What else is
I
no?
see.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, it all comes together. When people move in sync. Sometimes it's real hard for these modern women. They're professional, they're educated, they're used to being in charge. But when you're dancing, you gotta be able to follow. You gotta be able to feel the lead.
You got to let go.
Yeah, just follow. I mean, it's not that hard. Hey, come on, I'll show you. Get up. Come on. All right. So there's only 8 steps to the basic tango. All right. So if you just lean into me and you feel where I'm going, right? So yeah. So step, step, cross, step, 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 foot up. There you go. Step, step, cross, step, 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 foot up. There you go. Now you're getting it. Step, step, cross, step, 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 foot up. Okay. Don't look down. All right. So at this point, it's one of my favorite parts of the show. Music starts and the lights come in and it's like red and purple and it looks like this amazing tango club, and they start to dance together, and it starts out a little shaky, but then it just gets better, and then they start to move in synchronicity, and it's beautiful, and they look amazing together, and it builds up. The song is actually Heroes Tango, which is a story behind that and why it's involved in the show as well. And so they keep dancing and it builds and they get better. And then the way we've got it in this production is Nick turns her to face the audience. And as he drifts back to his seat into the dark, the lights change on Joan as she's left just with her arms around herself, facing the audience in full light. And then.
Of course, that never happened. We didn't dance. He just gave my hand that little push, like the demonstration of a cantilever. It was all proper. We never even got up off our chairs. But after that touch, whenever I watched him after that, I noticed how light he was on his feet. I could imagine him moving quickly and usefully across a landscape of flame and broken glass. I could see him at dance class, swinging his partner, smiling as their steps snapped and synchronized into place. I could see Jimmy Hughes cresting the hill on his bike, and Patrick O'Neill with his kids and his salad at the picnic. And it made me wonder what I used to see every time I walked past a firehouse. I never thought about a kitchen back there. I knew then that every time I saw a person on the street, I saw only his public shadow. The rest, the important part, lies in layer after layer beyond our view. We have no idea what wonders lie hidden in the people around us. Nick, where were you that morning?
I was at home in Brooklyn when it happened.
You were off duty.
I went outside and I could see the towers were on fire. Yeah, I wasn't doing until 6 p.m. that night. See, we worked shifts, and Patrick was on that morning.
So you went to the firehouse?
Yeah. I made an entry into the log at 10:15. I got there 20 minutes after the second tower came down. The engine in the truck left at 8:52. We got a video camera above the door to the firehouse. It's got a time clock on it. You see him go out. We lost 14. 8 from 60 truck, and 6 from the engine. 2 survived. Both drivers, the one driving the engine and the one driving the truck. Now, the last thing Pat said was, we're going to Tower 1. See, there's this really stupid thing that happened on the way down there. You know those big orange plastic cones they use for traffic?
Hmm.
Well, the ladder truck had hit one on the way down there, and it got wedged up under the fender. Now, you can't go anywhere till you get that thing out of there. And so Steve, the driver, gets out and he's wrestling, he's cursing with his cone, and it just won't budge. So Pat says, come on, guys, it's not too far. It's only a couple of blocks, we'll just go on. Steve can meet us down there. We're going to Tower 1. So Steve, driver, he finally gets his cone out. He makes his way down to the lobby of Tower 1. He's trying to find out what their company is. When he's blown out of the lobby of Tower 1 by the collapse of Tower 2. He's blown clean out of that lobby. Hitting that stupid cone saved his life.
An orange plastic traffic cone.
They still haven't found the guys. I don't know where they are. Maybe after the second plane hit Tower 2, they went there. I just have no idea. And I keep trying to figure it out.
We can't figure this out. It's too big for us. People used to have religion. Something terrible would happen and they would say, oh, it was God's will. But we don't buy that now. God's will. This wasn't God's will. There's no reason, no explanation.
Yeah, there's no reason. I say to Pat the night before, you want to work first or second shift tomorrow? Well, we do it all the time. We trade off. Always before he has a reason. I'll take today, you take tomorrow, you take tomorrow, I'll take today. He'd say, I got my daughter's soccer practice, I got this, I got that. There was always a reason. But that day he just said, I'll take Tuesday morning. This time he didn't give a reason. There's no reason. Now I'm alive and he's dead. And I don't even know why. And I lie awake at night. Thinking, what's the reason?
There's no reason. No reason. Look, this guy, he sounds too perfect. He must have had some flaw. Come on.
Flaw?
Mm.
I don't know. Guess he was a perfectionist.
Okay.
I mean, it used to drive him nuts if something wasn't working right, or if something was messy, or if he caught the probies loafing around a firehouse, do something useful, sweep or something. Or if they were loafing around talking in the kitchen, say, yo, don't just sit there, read or something. And that was Patrick.
Yeah, okay. Is that a flaw? At least it's human. We got to make him human.
I tell you, every day at that firehouse, still think he's going to walk through that door.
Tell me what you think of this. I want to offer my condolences to his family who are with us here today. It is impossible to think of Patrick without thinking of you. Even when he was working all out, Patrick always had his family in mind. That's the sense I have of him.
Yeah, that's good.
Patrick was a fine father. It was a quality he brought to the firehouse. He had the calm presence you looked for in a leader. Follow me, he'd say, and they would. The men looked up to him for the way he did his job, but also for the way he lived his life. Work, church, and home was his motto.
No. That's what Barney always said was Patrick's motto. I don't know if Patrick said that was his motto. Yeah. But you know what? Leave it in. Yeah, sounds good.
Patrick O'Neill was a big man. He covered the ground in long, sure strides. When he went out to a fire, he led the way. The other guys had to walk double time just to keep up.
That's right. I was one of them.
We could put that in. He took special pride in the new guys, the probies. He expected the same sense of purpose in them that he had himself. If one of them was taking it easy around the firehouse and Patrick walked in, he'd need to find an emergency broom.
That's good. That's good. An emergency broom.
On September 11th, Patrick was 6 weeks away from taking his captain's test. And there's no doubt about it, he would have aced it. When I think of Patrick, I think of the infantry motto, follow me. I'm sure that's what Patrick said that morning when he got the alarm, follow me, with his long stride that gave so much confidence and purpose to his men that day. And I don't care whether Patrick ever took that captain's test. In my book, he earned it. And captain's the least of it. Patrick O'Neill was many things to many people. Leader, friend, brother, husband, father. And none of us here will ever forget him.
Yeah, that's really. Oh, God, no, look what I done. Oh, no, look what I done. I dragged you into this. And I shouldn't have done that. I come in here and I unload all the stuff on you, and now you're wrecked too. And I had no right to do that.
No, you don't understand.
No, you're hurting. This hurts you.
This is nothing, less than nothing compared to what's happened to you.
But it doesn't mean that you should suffer.
Can you use this?
Yes. Yes. Now I'll have something to say when I get up there. And the words, they're the right words. But I dragged you into this. You were on the outside of it and I dragged you in.
Was I outside it? I don't want to be, not so far. This is my city too. I can't just watch it on TV. I want to do something. But this is all I know how to do, words. I can't think of anything else.
Well, that's okay. They're your tools.
People need to tell their stories. I know you absorb some toxins listening to the pain. It's like the print of a hand in raw clay. Even the people who tell the stories know this. In Chile, some people who were tortured there couldn't tell their families what happened. It caused the listeners too much pain. They didn't want to hurt the families, but they needed to tell them. So some shrinks gave them tape recorders and had them tell their stories into the machine. It helped. You know, when it first happened, I would wake every day cleansed of the memory. There would be these fresh moments after sleep. Then I'd remember. But another thought would resist. No, that's absurd. But the first thought would win. Yes, it happened. And now I have to go through another day living that reality. I thought it would be good to get away. So when they asked me to come to Argentina, I said yes. I was meeting with a group of Argentine writers. They told me what it all meant. The United States is living under total military censorship, they said. What? The military won't let the newspapers publish pictures of the bodies. Wait, I said. The newspapers? They're still trying to figure out what happened. What happens next? Pictures of bodies. There aren't any bodies. You want pictures of pieces of bodies? Censorship, that is when information is blocked. They're not blocking that information. We know they're dead. People don't need pictures. People don't need pictures. There was this one woman in Argentina. Her son, he was one of the disappeared there. She told the newspapers that when the planes hit the towers, she felt glad. We all know who was in those towers, she said. American imperialists had it coming. I wanted to tell her, they were civilians, they were massacred. And if there's one thing we have salvaged from the bloody 20th century, it is the idea of human rights for everyone, even Americans. Now, I know it may sound strange to talk about Americans as victims of human rights abuse, but strange things happen. I couldn't wait to get back to New York, where everyone understood, but I kept thinking about it. I realized that everything the Argentines were saying was about their own war 20 years ago. They thought it was about them. Everybody all over the world was talking about it, and they all thought it was about them. But it's not. It's about us, isn't it?
It's getting dark.
Yeah, we're rounding the bend.
You're tired. You're fried. I can tell by looking at you.
One more.
Let's
Didn't you
stop.
see there's one more service scheduled?
Barney and Dave, my two wild men. They haven't scheduled Dave yet.
Okay, Barney. Tell me about Barney.
Oh, Barney. Everybody loved Barney. He and Dave were always getting into trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, these two guys, they had escapades. They were always together. You know, Barney wasn't even supposed to be working that morning. He just came by the firehouse to meet Dave. God, Dave. He would not want to live next door to Dave. He had this house out on Long Island, and he had a yard full of old cars. Front yard full of old cars. He loved to mess around with wrecks. The more wreck, the better. And one time, he hears about this 69 Thunderbird convertible in Wyoming or somewhere like that. And he comes to us and he says, I'm going to go buy it. And off he goes with Barney. And these two guys go driving this beat up old T-Bird cross country. And they're supposed to be back at work. And we're getting calls from South Dakota, places like that. You know, don't worry, Cap, we're coming. We're on our way. Yeah, afterwards, they tell the story. And it's one of these firehouse kitchen tales that just gets riper every time you hear it.
So they fixed it up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Barney was a metal worker. He could do anything with metal. He had a big sense of humor too. He had this banter that just kept you rolling. His jokes were pretty bad, and he told the same tired old one-liner over and over again, but somehow he always had everyone in stitches. Maybe it was the way he laughed at him himself. This was a guy you loved.
Popular.
Well, yeah, wait, yeah and no. Look, you got to understand, here's a guy in his mid-30s, still lived at home with his parents. So an older German couple. And, they never called him Barney. So Bernhard, it was. You know, his mom was always like, Bernhard! Bernhard! You know, he's very orderly, very precise. And Barney was like that. He had his own private workshop at the firehouse, and he did all the firehouse welding. He had all these tools. He collected all these old tools and machines from the 20s and 30s, and he'd bring them in, and nobody knew from where, nobody knew what they were for. But Barney, he would take that machinery apart, and he'd clean it, and put it back together again, and make it like new. And we still didn't even know what it was for. You know, drill presses, big things, blades and stuff on them, didn't know what they were for.
My dad's like that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And you know, above his bench where he hung his wrenches, every tool had a, what do you call it, a silhouette of the tool on the wall. It's that German precision. How would you get along with Dave? Dave's yard was a mess. Like, if Dave moves in next door, your property value goes down. That's what we used to say.
What did Barney look like?
You know, he's a tall guy, whitish hair, kind of beefy, not exactly handsome. Like, he and Dave, they'd go out drinking and try to meet some nice women, but Barney, he never had very good luck. Barney used to say, if only he could meet a woman welder, that was the woman of his dreams. And then if he did ever meet a new woman, you know, the guys were always like, yeah, but Barney, can she weld? Flash dance. Flash dance, that was his ideal woman.
Well, was he a good fireman?
As a fireman, I thought he was real good. He was a man who worked with his hands, respected his tools. He asked questions. He knew what was going on. He was analytical. He was interested in everything, and he took his talent and he used it for the betterment of the company.
Can you give me an example?
All right, let me think. Okay, yeah, all right. We have this giant generator. It's a power source, and it takes two guys to move it around. It's the hearse tool. You use it for traffic accidents.
Hearse tool for hearses.
No, hearse. Hearst.
Oh.
H-U-R-S-T, Hearst. Sometimes people call it the jaws of life, but it's a Hearst tool. And it's got these giant jaws for cutting through metal. It takes a lot of power, and the generator weighs a ton. It's really hard to move around. And one day Barney takes out his tape measure and he whips it around, and he makes this specially designed hand cart that fits right into the truck compartment on wheels. Like, now one guy can handle it, no sweat, on his own.
It sounds ingenious.
Yeah, we didn't even know we needed it. No one asked him to do it. He just thought about it and he did it.
So he could have been an inventor.
Well, he'd have been a great inventor. Everything this man made, he made out of metal. And he made it right. And we'd send him to the hardware store to buy something, and he'd say, nah, it's too flimsy. And he would just make it himself. He made it to last. Like his bench in Firehouse, it's bolted to the floor. I mean, you can't move that thing. And one time, this guy transferred into the company, and he brings his weightlifting rack. So we put it up in the workout room, and all the guys use it. And he gets transferred out. He comes to us. He goes, I'm taking my equipment with me. And then Barney, he looks at Dave and goes, no, he's not. So Barney goes up and he welds the whole thing together. He welds it together. Now, you can still use it, but you can't take it out the door to get that thing out of there. I mean, it's going to be there forever. And there's not a thing that guy could do about it. Oof, he was mad. Everybody else was on duty that morning. But I wasn't sure about Barney. He wasn't on duty, but he never called in. And the whole time, the other reports are coming through. You know, I'm thinking to myself, where's Barney?
What happened?
As time went by, I remembered the videotape from the camera in the door above the firehouse. So we watched the tape. It was just before 9 a.m. And Barney pulls up in his van and he gets out and he's there, he's talking to Dave. And the streets and the sidewalks suddenly start to fill with papers. And then you see him go out. Companies go. Barney and Dave turn and walk away. Helmets, equipment, they walk away.
When do we go back to normal? I asked someone the other day, will we go back to normal? He said, yes, we'll go back to normal, but normal will be different. This is the new normal. Our city is different. We lost our jazz. We're muted. We lost a lot.
I'm Nick Flanagan of Ladder Company 60. I'm here to honor the memory of our dear friend and brother, Bernhard Keppel. I want to offer my most sincere condolences to his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Keppel, who are here with us today. I hope that these few words can give you a sense of how much we thought of Barney and the light he brought into our lives.
Some days I can almost go thinking about it, but to really pull that off, I have to avoid the newspapers, not watch the TV news, not do a lot of things, not hear a siren, not smell smoke.
What can I tell you about Barney? He lifted your heart. He had an unstoppable sense of humor. He was fun. He had a happy laugh, and it rose out of him and it took you along. For Barney, humor was as natural as breathing. But Barney also had an art, metalworker's art. He recuperated things. There's nothing he loved more than fatigued metal.
I get angry. How do you cut deals with God under these conditions?
Barney was a genius with metal. He could weld it, bend it, bolt it, drill it, you name it. And then he brought in creativity. He noticed something around the firehouse that didn't work very well, something we just took for granted. And he'd think up a solution, like the huge generator, the Hearst tool. It's mounted on the rig for traffic accidents. One day, Barney built us a specially designed hand truck. It fits right into the compartment. He's fixed something before we even defined the problem. That's the kind of guy he was.
I know my terms. I realized it the other day when I was getting on the subway. I want them back. I want them back, all of them. That's all I'll settle for. I want them back just the way they were. I want them all back together again. That's final.
We depend on our tools. They're all important. You go out on a call, sometimes you break through metal, sometimes wood. You need different tools. When you're answering an alarm, every tool counts.
I'll tell you how it can work. I read about it in a book. Let's just play the tape backwards. Start with a shot of the rubble. The dust and steel rise and untwist and form back into buildings. The flames are sucked back into Tower 2, then Tower 1. The planes fly backwards across the river, take a curve, and land backwards in Boston. Everyone gets out of the plane and drives backwards home.
But it's also how you use your tools. Barney set up his own private workshop at the firehouse, and it is a thing of beauty. A tool for everything, and every tool in its place. He built the workbench himself, and he bolted it to the floor. And I can tell you, that workbench is not going anywhere. If Barney built it, he built it well. Meticulous. Barney had a unique talent, and he used it for the betterment of the company. Here was a man who worked magic with his hands, respected his tools, and respected his job. The department can't ask any more than that. And yet he brought so much more. He made us smile. And he still does. Just thinking of him. He made us laugh. He made us feel good about who we were, and about working with each other.
The guys from the ladder truck run backwards. Barney's there. He's next to Dave. This time Jimmy's in front and Patrick's in back. They all get in the truck and they back up. The orange traffic cone falls out onto the street and the truck backs into the station. Barney gets into his van and backs off home. That's it. That's the deal. But I just have nothing to bring to the table.
But trust Barney to leave us with something more earthly too. His careful hands built things to last. The tools he built for us are still in the firehouse. They're with us. They're anchored. They're welded. They're bolted. They are grounding us. We use them every day. And every time we touch them, we are grateful that we could share in his light. Thank you. Okay, whoever's out there, thank you very much for coming along. Sam and Dave, if you can just come on screen, that'd be great. Are you coming? Okay, so they're obviously not, but I'd like to thank Sam Morley and David Meadows. And yeah. There you are. So I'd like to thank everyone, take a little bow and a wave. Yeah, so it's right around the time that 20 years ago, the first plane hit, nearly literally. So it's been a great honor, and out of respect that we brought this to you tonight. It's very close to my heart after living in New York and having done search and rescue there for the first bunch of days. It's 20 years. It's just insanity. So thank you very much. We will bring it to stage sooner or later, hopefully. Thank you to Anne Nelson for writing it and allowing us to share this with you all. So thank you very much and see you later. Let's go. Okay, turn your camera off now, Sam.
Oh no, I want to stay.
There you are.